Everywhere GBS.
Hello viewer, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Anne Moremi, I'm your host on Women's View. Thank you for joining us, and I have two guests in studio today. I'd like them to introduce themselves, and I'll start with the lady on my right. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello viewer. My name is Emily Mkomunene. I am an author on health education matters. Is my main area of concentration. I am also a founder of DEXA, which is Disease Eradication Civil Society Assemblies Organization, whose main aim is to educate people on matters health. And also the founder of Universal Health Care, Ambassadors of Universal Health Care.
Welcome to your show, Emily.
Well,
Such a great pleasure to have you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, a very accomplished lady. We're going to talk a little bit more about the number of books you've authored in the past years.
Thank you.
We also have a gentleman with us. Karibu, introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello viewer, I'm called Kevin Odwar, known as Balozi. I'm a co-founder of Gold Ribbon Initiative. Gold Ribbon Initiative, we work with kids with cancer. More area we focus on kids, and I'm glad to be here today with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, viewer, as you've heard, today we're talking about cancer, and the topic is, should cancer be declared a national disaster? So I'm so happy to be with both of you. You know, I want to celebrate you, first of all, because just when I heard you introducing yourself, Emily, you have got three organizations that, okay, you've got two organizations that you've founded, and you're an author of so many books. Yes. So you're a very accomplished woman, and I celebrate you for that.
Thank you, dear.
Kevin, you too, you are a co-founder of Golden Ribbon Initiative. And you know what? In Kenya, that's what we want. We want people to start their own organizations, because a lot of the problems that we are facing in Kenya, the solutions are going to be found within Kenya, not outside of Kenya.
It's true.
So today we're talking about cancer. And actually, Emily, some of the books that you've written right here with us, there's one that is called Focus on Cancer, a book on treatment, side effects, management, nutrition, childhood, and blood cancer. I'd like our viewer to be able to have a look at this book. The camera is just going to zoom in on it. Another book that you've written also is Handy Tips on Cancer. Handy Tips on Cancer. There we go. These books are very informative. And tell us, this basically means that you have, when it comes to cancer, you know a lot about it.
I have done a lot of research.
Yes.
Done even experiments with my own body. I'm also a victim of misdiagnosis twice, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cancer misdiagnosis?
Yes. I was misdiagnosed with the cancer of the skin.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That is in 2011. Yes. When I started writing on health,
yes,
my first book was on tuberculosis.
Okay.
And it's because I had friends from Isili, from other areas. Then there was a teacher I was mentoring. She was diagnosed with TB. And then she was very scared. She didn't know. She thought she was HIV positive. Yes. So I went into research trying to get the information so that I can get the facts correct. Exactly. Because this is a lady I knew very well. Yes. So in the process, I started developing some skin discoloring. I had big spots that were coming almost to my face. And you could see as if I've been burnt by acid. Yes. So when I realized, I remember I went to NASCOP, the Department of Leprosy, TB and Lung Disease. Yes. So I had gone there to take my book, and they told me, you see, now you've developed the TB of the skin. Then one of them said, no, this is not TB, this is cancer. So I got scared.
And it just came all of a sudden. You just found yourself.
They had started building. I was not paying attention. I was very busy with my research and writing. Yes. Yeah. Then when I went, I looked at myself. I found from my waist up, coming up to here, even my hands. Yes. I could not even wear something short.
Because it was all
I had
over.
all scars all over. When I was told it was cancer, I went to seek advice.
You were told by a doctor, or people just...
They just told me, like, when we are talking with you can tell me. Somebody, Kevin can say, Emily, you have TB now. We told you cannot write this because we are not a medical, professional medical person. Then I said, no, this is not TB, this must be cancer. You know, he just looked at me, told me it's cancer. Then I told them, what have you done to me? Then they gave me a mirror. I said, what? I screamed, actually. I was not even aware. Yeah. Yes. Then when I went to consult now, I found out that I was told it's an allergy to disappear within 2 weeks. Because I was not teaching. It went on for almost like 2 years, 3 years. In fact, this is the time now that the scars are disappearing completely. But when I went, I was told it might be cancer. But when they went to do the test and all that, one of the doctors said, yeah, it's true, it is cancer of the skin. The other one said it's not cancer of the skin.
So you were very...
So I went now to do my own research. Then I went into foods and nutrition. And then they disappeared. Then later on, in 2015, actually when I had just started writing about the cancer book now, I started swelling on one side. It was very bad. I went to do antibiotics treatment. It was not going. Then I remember I went to Rhodes. I usually go to government hospitals. You can hardly see me in a private hospital. So I went to Rhodes. When the medical officer checked me, he said, no, this one we cannot check here. We'll refer you to Bagathi. It might be esophagus. Because of the esophagus. I said, what?
Again, second time.
Again.
Oh my God.
So I went to Bagathi. I remember I queued there for 2 days before I could be seen by a doctor.
2 days.
2 days.
And you know, as we're talking, this is the state of our hospital. That was 2015.
2018. And I used to be there at 6 and leave there almost at 5.
So you had a number?
Yeah, I had a number.
But that number, it took 2 days for your number to be called.
You queue until you reach to the counter, because you go here, you see this doctor, this nurse here, you go to the next office, the other one,
and everywhere
you
you're
queuing. To the doctor, you are queuing. Every time you go, you start the queue afresh. So eventually, when I left there, they subscribed for me some antibiotics. I left there crying. Yeah, because I said, I'm in so much pain. This is what they have given me. I was told it is something to do with the esophagus. I expected better treatment. Then one of the nurses told me, why don't you go to KNH? Do you know, I left there and I said, I am not going anywhere. Let me deal with it
myself.
So yes. So when I think because of the little knowledge I had gathered at that time, I went now to really finding out what it could be. The research and all that, then I discovered that actually it was not cancer. Or it disappeared, and I prayed to God that it will not come back. Yeah, although sometimes I experience the swelling and then it goes. But it's not as bad as it was at that time, because it had gone on for almost 2 months. It comes, disappears. I take antibiotics, it disappears.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kevin, let's talk a little bit about that, because you see, in Kenya, we do have a lot of problems when it comes to cancer diagnosis. In Emily's case, lucky for you that the diseases that you had were not cancerous. But now we also have situations where the patients do have cancer, but they are told it's something else. And by the time the cancer is diagnosed correctly, a lot of time has passed. So Kevin, have you found that in your case, when you come to the Golden Ribbon Initiative, the children with cancer, how is your diagnosis?
Actually, I wanted to pick from where Emily has talked about the process of how the hospitals that are being handling the people. Because you find, like her case, she went there for 2 days.
Imagine.
You can imagine a person who is suffering from cancer and not knowing. You go for this period of time, and then you find that maybe they misdiagnosed your case. You see, so such kind of situation are there. So when we are calling for the government intervention, we know the real situation in the ground, in the community, what people face day to day. I've worked in a hospital as a medic, and that is what motivated me to now start fighting this cancer. Because you find somebody is depressed, it causes depression. People, some of guys, if you don't have a person to talk to, you find some guys are committing suicide because of just myths of maybe somebody told you have cancer.
The wrong way. You see, like the way you've talked to us about, somebody just looks at you. Was that person a doctor?
Yes.
And then just tells you such
a clinical
officer. This breaks it down to you so in such an unprofessional manner, without realizing that this is a disease where you need to be sat down, told, there's a process of communicating the information.
Disseminating information to people.
Exactly.
So those are the challenges that are, the gaps that are in the institutions that people go to seek medication. So those are the challenges that we are asking for intervention from the government. So that people can get to be served better, in a better way. Because when you have, when you declare, you realize that you have a cancer. First of all, people have depression. The first thing is you are still
Shock.
and
Denial.
Depression.
Like you find Emily said she went out and said she want to work his way. You see, that is denial.
It's
Because
denial,
you
yeah.
see like, what are these people telling me? You see, so if people generate denial.
Yes.
So if you are alone, if you don't find somebody to support you,
It
it's
can be
now
very
becoming-
difficult.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about, we're talking today about should cancer be declared a national disaster?
Yes.
Now, there are reasons that are supporting that question.
Yes.
So I'd like us to get into that immediately. Why should cancer be declared a national disaster?
Because it's already a national disaster.
Number one,
First
we
of all.
already know that it
Yeah,
is.
cancer is already a national disaster.
Yes.
Because if we look at, let's say, for example, you hear of very prominent people.
Yes.
So-and-so has left us because of cancer.
Yes.
How many of them, the prominent people in the society who are right now undergoing cancer treatment outside the country, they cannot speak about it.
A lot of
And
them.
if these prominent people who can be able to afford food, who have access to education,
Yes.
who have access to good treatment,
Yes.
are out there suffering denial, what about that lady like me?
Yeah.
You know, from just an ordinary
local
family,
mwananchi,
a
yes.
local mwananchi. What about the one who cannot even come to a studio like this one and speak to you, and
Yes.
what are they going through? The psychological effects of a positive cancer diagnosis by itself, it is a disaster
Yes.
to the family, to the individual, to the community, even to the offices.
Yes.
Because you try to imagine that worker who has been diagnosed with cancer,
Yeah,
the role they were playing in that office. We are not going to assume and say, we have so many journalists.
Yes.
We cannot have a journalist who can feel your shoe.
Yes.
You cannot have another ambassador
Person,
who
yeah.
can feel my shoe, because my gap, where I feel, it is my own. So it is a disaster for every new cancer diagnosis. And imagine, we are talking about like over 400 cases daily, according to the
Daily.
current statistics. People are being
400,000
diagnosed. Yes.
cases
And,
of diagnosis.
Of diagnosis. You know, before
Oh
we used to
my.
say cancer is a disease for the old.
Yes.
People have lived long enough to
Exactly.
wamekula chumvi mingi. But it's not like that anymore.
It's not like that. In fact, Kevin, tell us
kids.
about Golden.
Yeah, Gold Ribbon Initiative, talking about kids with cancer
with cancer.
and
Yeah,
all that.
actually, I wanted to add on why should government, we declare the cancer
Cancer.
national disaster. You
Yes.
see, affordability of treatment, that is one.
Yes.
Accessibility, that is two.
Yes.
Because people, if you can't access the medication of cancer, honestly, people go to India, people go to wherever, people do fundraising for cancer.
Yes.
Yet we have resources in Kenya whereby we can do these things just in the country. So that's why we're calling government to declare cancer national disaster, so that we can have more intervention of government
Yes.
focusing on how people can be treated in Kenya.
And
How
we can
people
have, oh yeah, that's true.
we can have this in Kenya being done here. So many doctors can come from wherever, and maybe they add knowledge on the oncologists and whoever who is in Kenya, so that
Yes.
we have this thing done here. If you talk about cancer, and mostly for us, we focus on children.
Yes.
Because as Emily said, initially, even me, I knew that cancer is for the old.
people.
Honestly, I knew that.
Yes.
Because there is gap of knowledge to the community members. So when government disseminate information to people,
Yes.
you can know that these things are for even a one-day born child can also get a cancer.
Yes.
Yeah. So for us, our area is focusing on kids, and we've found that even children has cancer and they are battling with it.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate, you know, when you're born and have to deal with something so heavy. And you see, one of the things that also happens is when it's declared a national disaster, a lot of resources will come,
Sure.
will be directed to dealing with it.
Yes, yes.
Because one of the things you've talked about is affordability of treatment.
Yeah.
You know, so tell us a little bit
That
about
is
that.
true. You
When
know-
you're told that you have cancer, what does it mean financially?
It is not even financially. Before even you get to financially, to get to that step where you are positively diagnosed.
That
Because
is
first of all, the cancer diagnosis centers are out of reach.
Yeah.
That is where you find the misdiagnoses are there. Because you go to the ordinary clinic, then they find you are having a problem.
Yes.
Then maybe the medics who are there, they're not able to tell whether this is a common illness or this is cancer. But when we have cancer declared a national disaster, we are saying we will have cancer screening centers within reachable
At
close range. Like let's say, like we are saying, on every level 4 hospital, we have a cancer screening center.
That's every county.
Every county level 4 hospital should have a cancer screening center. When we have that screening center there, it means patients do not have to travel all the way from Turkana to come and queue at KNH for 3 months to be able to be seen. So that they can be tested whether they are cancer positive. Remember, but from the time when you have been given that referral, even to KMH, to the time when you see the doctor, for you to go through the testing, to determine whether you have cancer. If it was actually cancer, it means to have moved from one stage to another stage.
Because of the time delay.
Because of the time that is delayed. But if we have the screening centers, you will be diagnosed there. First of all, you go, get the consultation. Then you'll be referred to the next step where you go for diagnosis, either biopsy or whatever method, depending on which part of the body they suspect has cancer or is symptomatic. Then, once they have found that you have cancer, the treatment centers are also within that center. We also have the treatment. So we'll arrest delayed treatment, we'll arrest delayed diagnosis, we'll arrest delayed treatment, we will arrest increased number of cancer deaths. We'll also arrest expenses, because the expenses of traveling from Eldoret to Kenyatta, or even plus accommodation and all the other places, it is very expensive. Here we are talking because of the common mwananchi. Where we are talking of the 3 things. Cancer will be, treatment will be accessible, it will be affordable, and will also be able to sustain what the government is advocating for, the agenda number 4, universal health coverage. Remember, universal health coverage is just on insurance. You cannot sustain the insurance if people also do not know the early signs of a disease. If you know the early signs, you'll go and seek treatment. Then it can be treated early. But if the longer it stays, the more expensive it is to treat. If people know what are the risk factors, what puts you at cancer risk, we will minimize exposure. When we minimize exposure, it means we'll have reduced numbers of new cancer cases. Instead of having increased number of cancer cases or other diseases, because people don't care, treatment is available, NHIF is covering us, we can go for treatment at any time. Then if the treatment becomes overwhelming, how will that insurance by itself be able to sustain?
Insurance cannot actually be able to manage, because the kind of limits that they set for cancer are very low compared to the cost of treating cancer.
They are very low. And then also saying that people are going to India. Who are those people who are going to India? Who are those people going to India? How many of us, if people cannot afford even transport, to come all the way from Meru or Nyeri, to come for treatment to Nairobi, even to go to Nairobi Hospital or even Aga Khan, how will they afford that one to go to India? There's people who are able to do the fundraising, even to go out there. It is people who are connected, people who are already well off in the society. What about that person who is not well off in the society? That mother whose kids are depending on her daily, hand to mouth feeding, and she's diagnosed with cancer. What is the future of the family? What is the future of the children? That father who's been diagnosed with cancer, and the child is not even the sole breadwinner, even if he's partnering with the wife to feed the family. How will that family, will they look for the medicine for the man who is sick, or will they feed the children? Will they educate the children? What will they do? You destroy the family, you destroy the future of the nation. So unless cancer is declared a national disaster, there is nowhere we are going. No matter how much money we raise and set aside, if we don't, the government does not come out and say, yes, cancer is a national disaster. Let us mobilize the resources and now focus on putting up establishments that will be able to cater now for this disaster we have in Kenya.
And Kevin, another thing that we need to also talk about is, once cancer is declared a national disaster, what is going to happen? Do we have enough oncologists who are able to treat? Because you've said that the new cases per day are about 40,000.
400,
you know. So if those are the new cases on a daily basis, do we have oncologists that are able to respond to such a situation in Kenya?
Let me use an example of the doctors that were brought by government.
The Cuban doctors.
The Cuban doctors. I think those are part of intervention. When they declare cancer a national disaster, there must be an avenues of how the process of how to go about it. If they will import doctors from Cuba again or India to come and help us in a short period of time as we equip our doctors with knowledge on how to manage these cases here, the better. But I think for me, the process are there. The process and the methods on how to go about it, they are there. Government has solutions on how we can handle problems. I remember one of the politicians were talking about a certain issue, and he referred that this thing is very too much like cancer. If even them, they know that cancer is too much and they can't do something about
Exactly.
it.
It means that there is a feeling
yeah.
that it's a disaster. It's just that nobody has taken that step to actually make it a public declaration.
Yeah,
They know
that
it is.
only,
They know it's a
It is,
disaster.
yeah.
They know. If you
Emily,
find somebody talking and saying this thing
too
is
much.
too much like cancer.
It's like a
you
cancer.
see.
I know. It's too much like cancer, which means cancer already in their mind is already at a level where it is already a disaster.
Yeah.
So now people are comparing other things to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, the president is the one. If the president came out today and declared cancer a national disaster, leave alone what we are saying, we say we have no money, we have overborrowed and all that. The funds for disaster management is not funds that are given as loans. That is money that can be mobilized from the World Bank, the Global Fund and all that.
Yes.
It's just what we need is just that goodwill, that acceptance that this thing is a national disaster.
Yeah.
So that now we can be able to put all things in place, have health education being carried out in schools. Let children know how to minimize exposure. Let people working in the factories and in industries get to know the things that put them at cancer risk.
Exactly,
So that
because if you're in
even
a
organizations
factory,
can be accountable to their people. Tell them, you don't have to expose people to high chemicals which are carcinogenic.
That's true. And if
For
you
them,
have to deal
for
with them, then you have to make sure that you are
You are
properly
protected.
dressed, you're
Yeah,
protected.
protective masks, protective gloves. They're also taking they are called what, the multivitamin tablets
Exactly.
that maybe take if maybe you have inhaled some chemicals to make sure that your body, your immunity is not compromised.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see, sometimes if it's declared a national disaster, there's the issue of awareness will increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the issue of also fighting for your rights, because once it's declared a disaster and there's a lot of education,
Yes.
people will even know that if I'm working for this company and I don't have gloves,
Yeah.
I must ask for them.
It's my right.
It's a right.
Yes.
Because right now, when you ask for them, people, maybe, of course, companies always want to save money or
Yes,
to
they want
reduce
to
expenses.
reduce, yeah.
But you see, once people are aware that this is their right, they're going to even be more effective in asking for the right gear, when they're
it's
working.
true. Even overworking workers. They're saying also, even stress. Stress is one of the contributing factors also to causing some cancers. We find a lot of people are overworked. Let's say, like, for example, even in the transport sector. You find somebody works, they are given only 3 hours to rest. You work more.
You work day
and you
and
don't
half
even
night.
earn more. Yeah. So that accumulative fatigue within the body by itself, it predisposes you to some cancers and all that.
Exactly.
But if the workers know, then you can say, okay, this is the salary you are giving me. These are
for
my
this
basic
amount of
needs.
hours.
This is the basic needs.
Yes.
These are the amount of hours. Can we have somebody relieving my shift so that I can be able to take care of my personal needs?
That's true.
Yeah, actually, you see, even when you work for long, your eating habit become poor because what you will eat, you will only take like soda and snack.
Exactly.
And that you add more sugar on your body, and you are just a poor eater.
You're a poor eater, and all these things contribute and keep on predisposing you further
Yes.
Yeah, to health,
hazards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So working period, it's more affecting people.
It's
And
affecting
it's
people a
it's
lot.
It's one of the contributors to cancer.
Yeah, before we get away from that topic, Emily, I want your input on oncologists.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have enough oncologists to deal with the issue in Kenya?
Currently, we do not have enough. But that is not a reason why it should not be declared a national disaster. Because why do we have very few oncologists in Kenya? Or why do we have very few people being interested in the medical courses? If you look around of late, we found a lot of pharmacists and chemists. They are sprouting everywhere. Because everybody is going to study what? Be a pharmacist.
Yes.
Why?
A chemist, actually.
A chemist.
Yeah.
A
They want
chemist.
to sell
the
they want the
drugs,
money
to
that
sell
comes with the
drugs,
profits.
To sell the drugs. Why sell the drugs? Because now the market that is there is for selling drugs. But now we can be able to come up with incentives that encourage, maybe give them a good package, salary,
Yes.
encourage our students right from secondary school, even from primary school, encourage them to take interest in the medical courses, especially oncologists, so that we can be able now to manage our own centers.
Yes.
Then also all the same, it is cheaper to import a doctor than export a patient.
Of course,
To be
it's
treated out
definitely
there.
cheaper. Oh yeah, of course, because when the doctor is here,
When the doctor is
and you know what, that is a very,
Yes.
a very issue, a hotly contested issue, because doctors feel that it is very terrible to import doctors here. Yet here we have our own doctors.
our
But you're
doctors are
right
also
that
here.
it is definitely cheaper to import one
Import
than to
the
keep
doctors.
exporting
The patients. Yeah. And when you export,
And a lot
when
of
you
people are
export,
going
when
to
you export
the-
patients, remember the number of patients we're exporting
They
is the
cannot be
limited
enough.
and those who can afford.
Only those who are exposed,
Yeah.
those who are connected, those who are rich.
Yes, who can be able to. But when we import a doctor, an oncologist, even one
The
or two,
rich.
to put them in our whatever, they treat our people on the grassroots
Exactly.
level.
More people
So
will be
these centers will have the doctors. And then eventually we'll wind up. As we keep on increasing our oncologists, then we find that we keep on reducing the number of oncologists or the doctors that we are importing in our country. Yeah. You see, like even when we have a disaster like floods and all that, we find people coming all the way from Israel, from wherever, to come and be able to help manage the disaster. So when there's a disaster, you'll find even volunteer.
Yeah,
People,
will come.
oncologists coming from the mission and the other places coming to help arrest the situation, maybe for a period of like 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Then within that time, we should be able to be self-sufficient, stand on our ground, have reduced cancer cases,
Yes.
at the same time have established cancer screening centers or treatment centers, and we shall be a happy
At
nation.
least we'll be making some
We'll
some
be able to be
progress.
making some progress.
Kevin, let's talk a little bit about when it comes to treatment. We've already established the fact that cancer is very expensive to deal with, not just to treat, even to diagnose. By the time it is established that indeed this is cancer, you have spent a lot of money on a lot of tests, transport costs, a lot of the other cumulative expenses. When it comes to golden ribbon, how the children who have cancer, how are the parents dealing with the treatment costs? Is NHIF helping?
On that note, what we do, we call people to partner with us to a project we call Adapt a Kid.
Okay.
Adapt a Kid is whereby you will find somebody who is willing to pay for a kid bill, like maybe the kid has like 80,000, 120,000 bill. So somebody can come and adapt the bill. You pay for the kid and the kid be discharged from hospital. Another program that we have is we link them with the NHIF.
Okay.
We partner with NHIF, and we now, when you find that you can't pay for the bills and all that, and we don't have funding for us ourselves, because we are a team of volunteers, we link with the parents with the NHIF so that they can be assisted in a certain way.
Yes.
You'll find that NHIF, the bill when it's like 100,000, NHIF can pay at least 40 or 60.
Which is
so
still
that,
something.
Yeah, so that it can assist from there. So those are the ways that we work with the kids and in our program.
Okay. And most of the children that you see, which hospitals are they currently admitted to?
Mostly they are in Kenyatta,
Mostly
because it's
Kenyatta.
the only center that can accommodate them. Yeah.
They also have a pediatric
the only
wing.
in Kenyatta,
Okay.
pediatric wing.
Of course, they're also there in private hospitals, but mostly the ones in private hospitals, they're
They are
able
the
to
people
manage.
who can pay, yeah.
Though they have the money, or they have the insurance coverage, or they have the means to fundraise. So the ones who are challenged are the ones who most often you find them in Kenyatta.
Kenyatta or Moi
What's-
Referral Hospital.
More referral, yeah.
You will find somebody from Kapenguria and they are just admitted here.
And are those the only two hospitals? Because what about outside Nairobi?
They come to Nairobi, they come to Kenyatta.
Because the level 4 hospitals, like you've talked about, are not able to
They
deal.
are not.
I remember
They don't have
a time I went for a patient in Kisumu when I was working with an ambulance. We went to ferry patient from Kisumu to be treated in Nairobi, in Kenyatta. So you see the trauma that you give to the patient, the emotion, the risks of being transported from all
And you
the
know
way
how
to
our
Kisumu.
roads are sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's traumatizing.
Yeah, that's true.
So those are the things that we say, as Emily has said. When you have these treatment centers locally, everything can be done there.
Yeah.
Even if the doctor can come from Nairobi and move to the facility, you diagnose and give medication treatment, because even doctors, they don't treat, they just examine and write notes to nurses to examine patients.
And yeah,
So
they're the
it's
ones who
very
do
much
the actual
easier.
nursing.
Yeah, they can come, if they are specialists, they give examinations to, even the clinician can do.
Yes.
So as far as it's examined by a specialist, the other treatment can be done by any other person that a medic that is a
So long as they know what
authorized.
to do,
Yes,
the
yes.
diagnosis has been done,
Yes.
and the treatment, even the drip, the chemotherapy can be administered. But the issue is the initial stages
Yes.
of diagnosis, and then now treatment centers, like you're saying.
Yeah. And also we are talking about when declared a national disaster, within those treatment centers, there is what we call the tumor board.
Yes, that's what I
In
was
every
just talking
cancer
about.
screening center, we're supposed to have a tumor board.
Tell us, what is a tumor board?
A tumor board consists of oncologists. We have the one who does first of all, listens to the patient,
Yes.
so that you can know the symptoms that has made this patient to be suspected to have cancer.
Okay.
After listening, there is the one now, the radiologist,
Yes.
the one now who does the actual testing, either through biopsy or DRE if it's the men and all that,
Yeah,
or
to
the mammogram,
confirm.
to confirm whether actually whatever you are feeling has anything to do with cancer, whether it's cancerous.
Okay.
Then after that one now, there is the one who interprets the results.
Yes.
After the scan or after the testing, who interprets the results to say, yes, this is cancer.
Cancerous, based
And
on
this
what
cancer,
the test
it is at this stage.
Ah, yes.
And this is the organ of origin. They can also be able to tell whether it is where they have diagnosed it is the organ of origin or it has metastasized or moved from one place to the other.
Okay.
Then after that one now, we have the other one now who determines what kind of treatment should be given.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on the stage and the organ.
Yes.
Now remember, we are going through the tumor board. Those are the different
And you're saying
oncologists.
that this is a different doctor doing
Different
this?
doctor.
Not
Trained
one
for-
doctor doing all this?
No. Each doctor is trained for a specific thing. It's like when you go to the lab. When you go to the doctor and you tell them you're having stomach wherever,
The
he writes
doctor
a
does
note to go to the lab.
There's
The doctor
another
does not
person.
take you to the lab.
That's true.
The guy in the lab does the test.
Yes.
Then he gives back the result. He does not interpret to you the results.
That's true.
The results go to the doctor who interprets the results. Then after that, there's another one who will take those results and now after interpretation, get to understand what kind of treatment you need.
Exactly.
Is it chemotherapy immediately? Is it surgery? Is it radiation? Or what kind of treatment you should get? Then after the treatment now, there's the one who will be able to talk to you and explain to you the effects.
disease that you
This the kind of, and give even the option, the treatment option. Tell you if you go, you can go, you have the option, go directly to chemotherapy. This is what it will happen because the cancer is at this stage.
Yes.
Or you can go through radiation combined with the other drugs. This is what it entails. Or yours is surgery.
Wow.
And this is the drug that you should take. Then they will also take you through, tell you the side effects of the drugs.
Exactly. Because
Different
you also
drugs.
need to know.
To know the side effects of the drugs.
Yes.
Then they'll take you through the side effects of the drugs. And then there's another one who will lead you now how to tackle the different side effects. How do you understand this as a side effect of the drug? And how do you respond to it? At what point do you come back to the hospital when you see this reaction of the drug is severe? Or is it something that can be done at home? If it is diarrhea and vomiting, do you have to run to the hospital or is there a home therapy that you can be able to do without taking necessarily more medication? More medication. Are you getting?
All this is a lot
Those are
of
now,
information.
that's
Those
the
are
tumor board. And that is what we lack. That's why we find we are losing a lot of patients.
Does it exist in any hospital? Because you see, how
supposed
I
to
know
exist,
it
but no,
is
we
that
don't
when you
know.
have cancer,
It's not.
it's an oncologist. It's one person who does all these things for you. Okay, at least if you're in a hospital, you'll have different people doing different roles, playing different roles. But that term tumor board, I don't think even many people who have cancer, they are even familiar with that term.
The patients will not be aware, but the doctors know that
They know
in
that's how to
every
treat it.
hospital that has a cancer treatment center must have a tumor board.
So in
That is a
Kenya, where do we
requirement.
have a tumor board in Kenya?
I
Because
am
we do
not
have
sure.
hospitals where we have
I am
cancer
not sure even
patients.
whether
For
Aga Khan
example,
or Nairobi
Kenyatta,
hospital they have.
For example, Aga Khan, for example, Nairobi, do you have a tumor board there?
I know. I don't think they exist.
I have not heard of that term.
They don't
This is the
exist.
second
And that's
time.
why you find our patients, for palliative care, they go to Nairobi hospices. Those who cannot afford, they are not able to go there. But all those things, even the palliative care direction, is supposed to be given, directed from the tumor board. Even identifying the caregiver. in the family or a friend who will be your caregiver, who will give that moral support, encouragement, encourage you to take your drugs, check on you daily. It's something that's direction, a cue that is supposed to be given from the tumor board.
To get that person
to get that
to be
person
identified,
and even,
to be educated, so that they can be able to help patients
to help the patients,
psychologically.
when they are not admitted in the hospital, psychologically prepare them, psychologically take care of them, psychologically how do you reveal a positive cancer diagnosis to a patient.
Even how you communicate.
Cancer.
And you're left there to deal with it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Already
helplessness.
Scared. Yeah. So the tumor board, within the tumor board, we have that psychological counseling of a patient.
And already I can just see how great the challenge is in terms of just the manpower, the doctors too, because having a tumor board at every hospital, I mean, even that in itself is quite a challenge. But once it's declared a disaster, a lot of funds are going to go into ensuring that this is in
running
place.
Operational
You know,
provision. But
exactly.
Anne, it is not, it's actually, I don't look at it and see like it's a big economic burden. If it is properly done and we manage our resources properly, with proper budgeting and planning for them, it is manageable. We have a lot of young people. We are saying we have people who are unemployed. Does not mean that these people have no science knowledge in them,
and
or
they
have
can
no
be
interest
taught,
in
they can
science.
be reskilling in something.
They can be taught. So if the goodwill is there, actually, for this nation, we should be able to come up with a strategy together with the government, to involve stakeholders like us and the other people who have an interest, are already practically on the ground in this area, to formulate on how this cancer gets declared a national disaster and how we implement the strategies that we are going to lay on paper, on the same. Because we have a lot of people who can be trained and work with passion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kevin, let's talk about palliative care. She talked about palliative care. When it comes to children with cancer, are parents able to provide palliative care at home? What has been your experience when it comes, when it comes to cancer, that point which is where the doctor says nothing can be done. In fact, I usually wonder whether it is true that nothing can be done, or nothing can be done in Kenya, or maybe you should seek treatment abroad. When somebody is told you have just a few months remaining, go home, because even if you stay here, we can't do anything. Have you met parents who have been told that?
Yeah.
How do they handle?
I've met a friend of mine who was on a stage 4 cancer, and the treatment time was elapsed, and they were told that the patient has only 7 days to live. 7 days to live.
Oh my.
So you see, the kind of the tumor board that Emily was talking about could have helped these people to understand what is the meaning of a person living for 7 days. Sure. This is a person who is talking.
They look well. I mean, they're not looking like they're...
He can ask you, can you please help me with water?
Are you sure 7 days?
And you are looking at him and saying, this person has only 7 days to die.
You see,
so the process, even for themselves, the caregivers, they have denial. You see, somebody is refusing. I can't tell Emily that our kid will die.
In 7
is going
days.
to die in 7 days, because you can't even accept it.
You
because
yourself, you want to refuse such information.
Yeah, you are refusing at first.
Yes.
So those processes are there. The cases are there, and the process of managing cancer also at home, it's another challenge for some of the caregivers. But some of them, if they follow proper mechanisms that they have been taught in the medication centers, they normally do it well.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
They normally do it well. If you have a proper a person who is willing to train you on how to manage your patient at home. Yeah, because most of the hospitals, they are normally for money oriented. They are there to make money.
Of course,
so you will find that they don't even give you proper details, proper knowledge on how you can manage this. You can handle the patient at home.
Yes.
So it's become a challenge. But if you have a very genuine person who can train you, if you also, what I can encourage people is also do a research.
Yeah,
when you have, you realize that your relative has been diagnosed with a cancer, do a research on how home-based care processes. These things are there. You can find a way of how you can manage these things at home, and also as you do treatment in the hospitals.
And on that note, Kevin and Emily, we need to take a break. So viewer, we'll be right back. Keep it here. Thank you.
I go by Hypola the Experience.
Genius Republic, DJ Kenyan for Echo Mziki.
For the best mixes, your favorite artists, and the freshest dance move. Right here on GBS TV. My DJ, let's go! Hey, 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 go, go!
We're going to be in the kitchen learning how to do a few tricks. I hope that you're going to get the chance to cook this in your homes because it's very quick, it's very healthy, and it's very delicious. It's so nice. I love it. I know. Welcome viewers to Talk to Rosemary Njagi show. The Bible says, seek ye the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Oh my, have I provoked you? Then take action.
Different artists. Different choirs.
Rescue mission. Pump me with your Holy Spirit.
Different praise and worship. I tell you, this is a show where we bring the best of the best.
It's amazing.
Yes. And shalom.
Shift kwa Hollywood na expectations za kuwa holy, wakapata skills za kissing.
Tena nikakumbuka I have this guy in my life, mtanashati alinipa shati hadi nilishati mpaka nishamekti my favorite.
The glimmering light in her eyes all faded. It did, even her grades reflected. The terror, the fear, the feeling of despair, devastation, depression were all part of her emotions. Hakukataa.
Na kuhisi. Na hisi nitamani kuhisi on the first place ni meet na yeye. Otisi hisi.
Huku classes ni mbili, ya the rich na the poor. So kimuuliza mtoi yako class ngapi, hii kwake ni kejeli. Hii kwake ni dhihaka.
Utasema ni kama mimi huoga maji salty juu kwako sijai kuwa msweet. Utasema ni kama mimi niko na roho ya mnyama, but fine. That's the reason why I went for the greener pasture.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer. Thank you so much for coming back. Today we are talking about cancer, and this is the question: should cancer be declared a national disaster? There are so many cases, so many new cases arising on a daily basis. There are not enough centers for diagnosis, for treatment. There's a new term I've heard today, tumor board. I don't know which hospital has a tumor board. So we are looking into what can we do to force the government to declare it a national disaster. And so, Emily, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. There's already something that you have done in terms of pushing this step forward. Tell us a little bit about the ministries that you've met, the organizations that you've met, because one thing that we've established here is that this push, this lobbying currently is not being done by doctors, it's being done by civil society. So what steps have you taken so far, and what is pending?
Actually, what we do on our daily basis, we take care of cancer patients, advise them, educate them through the social media like WhatsApp groups and all that. Because we find somebody has been diagnosed with a cancer or a family member. They don't know, maybe somebody says the body is swelling, they don't know what to do. What are the therapies, or what do we recommend them to do? Either the sitting position or whatever. That is how we do it. So these are the people that we closely work with on daily basis. Others, we find somebody is supposed to go for treatment, they do not have transport. They're supposed to go for treatment, they don't have even the fee for paying for treatment. So within our own resources and those groups, we try to find out how do we assist this person to make sure they have gone for treatment. Others are admitted at the hospital, and maybe even the relatives are very far. But you know, going to visit somebody in the hospital and you understand the kind of treatment or the kind of trauma they are going through, it is easier. Helps. So we go to talk to them. But all the same, because there are so many patients and there are so many needy cases, we cannot be able to do them as individuals. Remember, we are groups and individual volunteers who have not on anybody, any donor support. It is just like the way you say, put 100 bob and pay a hospital bill for a cancer patient. A poor Kenyan who is selling vegetables will be able to do it. And that's why we are coming, we are saying, can we all team up as Kenyans? Let everybody go viral on social media and say, declare cancer a national disaster. That should be now our rider from now onwards. Because when it's declared a national disaster, the burden of losing family members, children being orphaned, it will go down.
It will reduce.
Women being widowed, it will go down. Men being widowed, it will go down.
And you know what? We have an example. We have HIV and AIDS. HIV and AIDS was rampant for a long time. A lot of lobbying was done. And once it was declared a national disaster, what are some of, I mean, we've seen that the new cases have declined. They're still there. But you know, when we talk about the leading causes of death in Kenya, I don't think HIV is now featuring. First, it's infectious disease. Then there's cardiovascular disease, and then cancer. So you can see the HIV is not the top three, which means that if we declare cancer a national disaster, it's likely that we're going to stop cancer being one of the top three. Maybe it's going to go down a little.
It will go down because we'll have a lot of awareness. You know, awareness is education. Like we have the HIV, they tell you, do this for prevention.
Exactly. There is so much information now.
Go for testing, do this. But for cancer, it is just a quiet world. It's something like you are just waiting,
and there's stigma.
We are waiting for dawn, which is not coming. It just keeps on getting dark and nobody's talking about it. But once it's declared a national disaster, let me tell you, we'll have a lot of awareness. We'll have health education. We'll advocate. We have in the casualty wards. When people are waiting there, there's a screen there, somebody talking about the risk factors, the early signs of cancer, so that people can get that knowledge and education. Every step, when you want to take to smoke that cigarette, you find somebody smoking on the street and your children are playing there, you will take the initiative and say, no, this is against the law. You are predisposing us to second-hand smoke, which can give us throat cancer, all things. Are you getting? But when we don't have this knowledge, you will just find we are all there laughing, and there's only one smoker. But that smoker is affecting so many other people because we are ignorant. We don't want people to keep on perishing due to lack of knowledge or ignorance. So we need that education to be carried out. It can only be done if government declares cancer a national disaster, so that resources can be mobilized. Proper materials for education can also be taken to places. Proper video recordings and teachings can be done right from schools, where the learnings are. Even our children in schools are being diagnosed with cancer.
I know. Yeah. In
It's
fact, the other day,
embarrassed
it
so
was in the
many.
newspaper the other day that
Yeah.
the top student, the top KCPE student in last year, in
Yes.
2018, has succumbed to cancer.
Imagine
That
how
is
sad
somebody,
it is.
and you can imagine this is
Yeah.
somebody who is educated, their family at least is aware,
Yeah.
but it is affecting, I don't think there's anybody who has not been touched
by that.
cancer.
By that, yeah.
It
So I
does- it
don't
doesn't choose.
Yeah.
You've asked about what we are doing for the cancer to be declared.
Exactly.
We've write a petition to the
Yes.
Ministry of Health.
Okay.
And we've copied to Parliament.
Yes.
We are asking the Parliament to debate the process as per now. We have notified the Parliament
Yes.
clerk, and for now we are waiting for the petition to be brought to the proceedings of Parliament so that
Okay.
the parliamentarians can debate on it.
Yes.
If they pass it, it can also help us on what we are pushing for.
Exactly.
But other parliamentarians also have interest on their own
because they are also
issues to
affected.
cancer, and there is a lot of push even from Parliament as we speak now.
Okay.
So we hope for the best. And what I can urge parliamentarians, we are very tired of asking you guys for fundraising to take people for India. Kindly, guys, if you hear me, if you hear my voice and you are a legislator,
Yes.
kindly pass the law of measuring cancer to be a national disaster.
Yeah, because
so
that way,
we can now help ourselves from our own resources that we have in Kenya.
Exactly. Instead of relying on the MP salaries
Yes.
or the CDF funds, which can be going towards development activities.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah, because you see, at the point where we're just asking for fundraising, it's almost like money which is just going.
It is
but
money
we need to tackle
being
it from
diverted.
from a higher level and be able to reduce the cases, be able to create more awareness.
You saw like the other day on was it on Jamur the Madaraka Day?
Yes, Madaraka
there
Day was a
some money.
pronouncement. Yes,
the
I think
$1
$1 billion.
Yes, that was
The president
for
it
was for cancer treatment.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact, but I remember that
Yes.
there was a $1 billion. That
You see
was
that kind of money. It is a lot of money.
Allocated.
But that money, without proper plan, without proper strategy, we don't know where that money will go to.
Exactly.
But I wish Mr. President can wake up today and just say, I gave $1 billion shillings for cancer treatment or for cancer centers. But now I want to declare cancer a national disaster.
Yes.
So that even that $1 billion shilling can be put, channeled to the right place.
Exactly.
Money that can be accounted for. This is what we've done. We built cancer screening centers. This is serious. Or in the already established centers that we have put so many, these screening machines within those areas.
Yeah.
We'll see that is money that has been utilized, that can be able to benefit the mwananchi, mimi na wewe.
Exactly.
Are you getting me?
Yeah.
But without it being declared a national disaster,
even that
this will be
billion,
just like the money that comes from the budget, and it is the money that you cannot even see a school that it has been.
You cannot be able to trace.
You cannot trace it where it has gone to or what
Yeah.
it has done.
Exactly.
We need that money to be accounted for, planned for, implemented, and accounted for us to see what has that $1 billion shillings done.
Exactly.
We cannot have, and we don't want to hear it has gone to pay hospital bills.
No.
No, we want to see something tangible.
Yeah.
There is a center that has been built in this
Exactly.
area that has been proven, identified as a high risk area, or having many new cancer cases.
Exactly.
Or we have put this measure that controls or prevents cancer.
Let me to interrupt you. What is the ranking of Kenya when it comes to cancer? Because you've done a lot of research. Are there other countries that are facing this, and how are they handling it?
Well, there are other countries, but for us in Kenya, we are, I think, ranking among the top countries in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. Kenya, in fact, the rate of which we are having new cancer cases in Kenya, it's at a very high speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even when we do comparison,
because
this is the information that we need to churn out
and
to be able to lobby the government more. You know, numbers don't lie.
Yes.
Yeah. So guess what, people? Time is up. So I have to ask you to give your parting thought, your parting shot or your final thoughts to the viewer. Yes. We'll start with Kevin.
Viewer, my parting shot to you is that I only urge you to, you're a member of parliament, member of county assembly, those are the policy makers. Kindly, for us to achieve what we are looking for, kindly lobby with us, mobilize these people, ask them to participate in the process of declaring cancer a national disaster. That is the only way we can achieve this cause.
Thank you so much. And also, just before we leave, thank you so much for the fact that for what you're doing, you know, you're not a parliamentarian, you're not an oncologist, but because of your interaction with the community, you've already done so much for us.
Yeah.
So keep it up, and I pray that, you know, we're going to get to the end of this. Parting shot from Emily.
Viewer, mine is to our leadership also, as my colleague has said.
Yes.
We need to utilize our resources properly so that they can be able to benefit wananchi.
Yes.
We cannot take people to school, educate them, even give them a subsidized university education, and they fall sick of diseases that are preventable.
Yeah.
Cancer is preventable, cancer is curable, if only diagnosed early. So let's take the initiative.
Because people, it always sounds like such a death sentence when you hear you have cancer.
No.
So it is preventable.
Cancer is preventable.
And it is curable.
It is curable.
Only.
Only if it's diagnosed at the right time.
And we know there are different stages.
There
We
are
don't even
different
have
stages.
time to
We
talk
don't have time
into
to
the
talk about
stages.
it.
Yes.
But remember, get to know the early signs of cancer.
Yes.
Also, get to know about the risk factors. Then minimize exposure to those risk factors.
Wow.
That is the only way you can be able, you can be able to achieve your dreams and live to enjoy the fruit of your education, of the fruit of your ambition. You young girl, young boy, who are out there. Because when cancer grabs you and it is not curable, it does not matter how much money you earn.
Yeah,
We have found people getting buried and leaving their billions there with you. So take control. Cancer is preventable. Cancer is curable. Tell your members of parliament, as my brother said, let's lobby.
Yeah.
But I know even the president has the power, even without the parliament, to declare
he can
cancer a national
declare.
disaster.
Yeah, that is
The
really
Ministry of
power.
Interior, you have the power to declare cancer a national disaster because all disasters fall under your docket.
Exactly.
Dr. Matiang'i.
Yeah, that's
Can
a
you
man
take
to
the cue
watch.
for us, please?
Thank you so much for joining us, viewer. I hope that you have learned a lot. And please join wherever you are. Let's get this information out. Let's lobby. You know, we have social media, and social media is one of the tools that we use for lobbying. Let's all put pressure on our lawmakers. Let's all put pressure on our leaders, and let us declare cancer a national disaster. And you know, one of the things that is immediately going to happen is that information dissemination is going to follow.
Yes.
And people are going to start viewing cancer as not a death sentence, but as something that is preventable
and curable.
Only if identified, diagnosed early. Thank you so much for watching us, viewer. Remember to subscribe to our channel, GBS TV Kenya, on YouTube. See you next time. Bye.